What's up folks, it's CrushSG and I have a funny story for you before we get into today's video. So 2 weeks back I put out a video on my personal Cyberpunk setup, which among other things featured the Nova LUT lighting mod. Now what I didn't mention in that video was I actually had to record and edit that video twice. What happened was I had just got done editing the video and uploaded it to YouTube. YouTube then typically takes a couple of hours to process the video. During that time, I discovered that a new version of Nova LUT had dropped earlier that day, version 1.4. The short of it is that the changes were not insignificant, so I recaptured the footage, swapped it out, and that's the video you guys eventually got. Now, fast forward to today, and for the past few days I've been working on my showcase for version 1 of the Nova LUT Pure Edition. I finished it last night and uploaded it to YouTube. And you guessed it, while waiting for the video to process, I went on Nexus and was greeted with an update notification for version 2.0 of Nova Pure. Now that gave me kind of a chuckle, right? No harm. I downloaded it and then went about re-editing the video. But there's more. See, while recording the new voiceover for the new footage, I received a notification that version 2.1 had dropped, and midway through capturing the new 2.1 footage, I got a comment on my community post asking me to check Nexus mods again, and lo and behold, version 2.2 was sitting pretty in the file section. Now, this isn't me complaining, by the way, not at all. As far as I'm concerned, more updates to anything means more content for me to put out. I just thought the timing was too good to not share it, and this also serves as an explanation for why I decided to put out this video. This is not the showcase for version 2.2. It is actually the original version 1 video. One of you suggested I uploaded it anyway since it was complete, and I figured, true, why not, right? I'll just work to put out a separate 2.2 showcase sometime later on. So yeah, here we are folks. This is the showcase and comparison video for version 1 of the Nova LUT Pure Edition. Quick rundown, Nova Pure is a new variant of the main Nova LUT, which also uses the AGX color space. The technical difference between the two LUTs is the main version has some tweaks and corrections applied during the conversion, whereas Nova Pure is supposed to be a 100% pure conversion without any or much corrections at all. Also important to note is the Cyanide X explicitly states that this variant was uploaded just for fun. So I don't think the intention was for it to be a proper alternative variant to the main version. So just keep that in mind as we approach this video. And that's pretty much it for the description. It's the same mod listed on the same mod page by the same author. Okay, so this showcase is going to be a little different because I already showcased the main version of Nova LUT on my channel. Rather than doing just the lighting mod versus vanilla comparisons, which is what my showcases normally do, I'm going to also be comparing Nova Pure with the main Nova LUT, as well as showcasing how I personally run these mods myself. Now this is going to make the video longer than usual, so I'm doing away with the creative clips for this one and going straight for the classic side-by-sides followed by my analysis. Alright, before we start, let's go over my graphics settings because I've had to change things up a little for this video due to some strange capture issues that I've encountered recently. The quick and fast version is I game on an ultra-wide monitor, but typically render and capture YouTube footage in 16:9 resolutions, and this requires me to run the game in either windowed mode or borderless windowed mode for capturing. Unfortunately, over the past week, my setup has not been playing nice with windowed mode at all for some reason, causing any captured 16:9 footage to be extremely stuttery regardless of the actual in-game frame rate. I'll spare you the details, but suffice it to say that the current workaround is for me to render the game in 21:9 and then crop it down to 16:9 for YouTube. As such, all footage in this video is rendered at native 3840 by 1620. What you are then seeing is a cropped resolution of 2880 by 1620. No ray tracing is active, it's full raster. Screen space reflections is set to ultra instead of my usual preference of cycle. Okay, first up we have vanilla compared to Nova Pure with Nova ENV. Alright, for those wondering why I didn't feature just the Nova Pure LUT alone, well, take a look at this clip and you'll understand immediately. Yep, Nova Pure has a virtually unplayable amount of glare when run as just the LUT with the vanilla ENV. Sure, this can be mitigated to an extent by a combination of disabling the bloom, disabling distant volumetric fog, as well as significantly bumping up the gamma. But this brings about other issues with contrast in the darker scenes and such. It's just not practical to run it that way. And yes, Reshade can help with it, but we'll talk about Reshade later in the video. Anyway, right off the bat, we can see that obviously the color profile is vastly different from vanilla. Nova Pure has a much wider color range and it's much more saturated, much more vibrant. It is also significantly brighter than vanilla, even when run with the Nova ENV. With the Nova ENV though, it really only requires a slight bump in gamma to bring the glare under control. And of course, in line with the use of Nova ENV, this combination produces a much cleaner and clearer overall look than vanilla does, which is entirely personal preference whether you like that look or not. Okay, next let's take a look at Nova Pure versus Nova LUT, and based on the comments in my recent videos, I already know this is probably what most of you are here for. So let's roll the side-by-sides. Alright, first things first, the version of Nova LUT used in this video is version 1.4, which is a newer version than the one I used in my Nova LUT showcase. Version 1.4 addresses and improves some of the issues with the previous version, like the green hue and such, and the improvements are actually very noticeable. Anyway, back to the point, they both use the same AGX color space, so there are definitely similarities in the color profile, but the differences between the Pure and the main version should be very obvious. The overall brightness, the contrast, and the saturation are vastly different between the two. Where Nova LUT seems to err on the side of desaturation, Nova Pure goes completely in the opposite direction and errs on oversaturation. In a sense, Nova Pure is basically Nova LUT with the saturation and contrast bumped up a fair few notches. Okay, so that's it for the basic comparisons. Let's wrap up this part of the video with some thoughts before we get into how I personally run these LUTs. In my opinion, Nova Pure and Nova LUT are really two sides of the same coin. If the goal is to run them stock without any reshade, the one you should pick entirely boils down to whether you prefer more color saturation or not. And from there you just set the gamma to whatever you feel is appropriate. Personally, if reshade was absolutely not an option, I would run Nova Pure over Nova LUT, even though I feel Nova Pure can be a bit too saturated and a bit glary at times. Simply put, Nova LUT is undersaturated more often than Nova Pure is oversaturated, if you get what I mean. And of course, I'd only pair Nova Pure with the Nova ENV for reasons I explained already. It just makes the glare much more manageable. Now, that said, if reshade was an option, I'd actually go with the main Nova LUT over Nova Pure. You see, reshade is a wonderful tool. It can add stuff in, it can take stuff out, and it can often be the sole factor between something looking decent and something looking excellent. But reshade has its limitations. While it's very easy to add contrast, add saturation, or add vibrance with reshade, I find that it's much more difficult to reshade your way out of a scenario where things are already crushed in the base image. And this is of course a huge problem with the vanilla LUT. Now, I know many of you like vanilla and I totally respect that, but in my subjective opinion, there's no amount of reshade that can solve the problems that I personally have with the vanilla LUT. And that said, this is also a problem presented by Nova Pure. Being inherently more glary and more contrasty means Nova Pure already carries a level of crushed blacks and whites, and this limits what I can personally do with reshade. Now, that's not to say that Nova Pure can't be made to look good, by the way. I think Nova Pure can look excellent with the right reshade preset. I just think that the main Nova LUT is easier to work with and has the potential to look just that bit better. Again, to me at least. Anyway, that's it for today's video, folks. As always, I have all the stuff linked in the description as well as links to some of my other videos. I'll leave you with a clip showcasing Nova Pure with the custom reshade that I run with it, and I'll throw in a clip of the reshade settings somewhere so you can try it for yourselves if you want. Just remember that your mileage will vary significantly depending on your monitor, and this is why I don't really cover reshade presets often in my videos. That's just how it is with reshade and monitors. Same settings, different monitor, different result. Anyhow, thumbs up if you liked it, sub if you want to see more, and I'll catch you later, folks. Take care.
you're here. Good, I guess. There we are. Mickey, check the gear, dump the truck.
Yeah.
What about Daniels? He contact you?
Daniels is dead.
Look, I'm sorry. Whole gig was to protect the gear.
And you did good. Daniels would have said the same. Thanks to you, we help a shit ton of chooms. Think you deserve a little something. Whip there's all yours. Bubbly next to it, too. Sort of planned on a happier ending, you know? Anyway, thanks, V, for everything.